Welcome back to Talking Sports with Brandon. This is Dallas Cowboys Week 11 video, and it's a great video. No complaints, nothing bad to say. Only good things, only positive vibes. It's just going to be a really good video. And, there's some, like last week, I dreaded making that video. I didn't want to make it. And this week is the complete opposite. I wanted to make this as soon as the game ended. And it's just it's good when you have a game like this. You just feel really good about yourself. You feel really good about your team, and you like where you're going in the future. And we played the Vikings this week. I thought it would be a challenge. Coming back from that Green Bay game, I thought we'd win that game. Move up to 7-2, and go into a tough game in Minnesota where they just beaten the Bills on the road in OT. It was a tough physical game that they won against one of the better teams in the NFL on the road as well. And I thought it'd be a really tough game, and it would kind of prove who's that, I guess, even though the Niners and the Eagles are there, who's like that next team. And I still thought it was us, even though the Vikings had the record. I didn't think they were a great team, but even still, you got to respect them. They were 8-1. Their only loss was to Philadelphia on the road as well. So, you definitely have to respect them. But, from the jump, I never had a doubt about this game. So it was, the final score, I didn't even say the final score yet. It was 40-3 Cowboys. It was a blowout. And, we've had some drubbings, over the last, season or two where, Washington last year at home, Philadelphia, even though it wasn't, that game didn't matter, we still destroyed them. We've kind of destroyed some teams the last 2 years or so, but this one was different because it's on the road. A team that was 8-1 had all the momentum in the world, all the confidence in the world. People, and the funny thing about this game was that we were favored. And I wouldn't say I didn't agree with it, but at the same time I thought it was a little odd considering we had just lost in a heartbreaking, terrible loss, disgusting loss, inexcusable loss that I talked about in the last video. And the Vikings just had a really great win, miracle kind of win against the Bills on the road. So it was just a little confusing as to why we were favorites, but as you could see from the outcome of this game, I guess it made sense. We'll obviously go through each drive and we'll talk about the plays, but I just got to read some stats off. I just have to. When you score 40 points, you let up 3, you got to read stats. Dak, 22-25, 276, 2 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. The MVP of this game was the offensive line. You could say it was certain players, and I'll go through, I'll finish reading the stats, but the offensive line played amazing this game, and that's what the offensive line has to do going forward. And they played really well so far this season. I'm not going to say they haven't. They have played really well in terms of us running the ball and throwing the ball. They've played really well. They played really good as a unit, and we're only going to get healthier. Tyron Smith is on his way back. It will be probably in December. He's going to miss the Thanksgiving game. He's going to miss, the game after that against the Colts, but potentially the game after that. Who knows? He might come back for that Colts game. I'd be surprised. But that Texans game does kind of seem like the game that he would return, or that Jaguars game. Those kind of seem like the dates. That'd be a big add. This offensive line's played great. Tyler Smith has been amazing at left tackle. McGovern at left guard, Biotish at center, Martin obviously at right guard, and then Steele at right tackle. But the point of Smith coming back is that if he can play good enough left tackle, and who knows, maybe he's not fully, when he does come back, maybe he struggles a little bit. Maybe you kind of do have to put Smith back there, put McGovern back at left guard. But let's say Smith comes back and he looks not like the all-pro that he is, but it's that was a huge injury. His hamstring tore off the bone, and that was only in August. And he is older. He's had a history of injuries as well. But let's say he just looks good. He does look like, he's solid. He holds his own. He's playing well at left tackle. That puts Smith back at left guard. And that puts McGovern as our backup center. He'll go back to kind of being that fullback that he was a little bit, where if we want to do those formations, we can, because we could use him because he's not starting, obviously. But again, he could be the backup center, which allows us a little more flexibility on that offensive line, because we don't really have a backup center right now. It would be McGovern, but that means you're taking him out of left guard and they have to put, Farniak in there, or Peters potentially, or Peters goes to left tackle and Smith slides over to left guard. So, you just change your offensive line. But when Smith comes back, you have the two Smiths on the left side, and McGovern goes back to being, the backup who could fill in at center or guard. So it just allows way more flexibility for our team. If an injury comes up or if just someone's struggling, you have McGovern who started the entire season. So it's just a good problem to have. But they played great in this game. They really did. And they're going to continue to play great. They will. Pollard, 15 carries, 80 yards. Zeke, he came back for this game. 15 carries, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. So really good game from Zeke. That's what all you need. You don't need Zeke to go for 100 yards, 80 to 100 yards. He needs to go for 40 to 60 yards. 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, goal line situations. That's what you need him for. That's all you need him for. He's a physical power back. Who's not the same back he used to be, where he's a bell horse or a bell cow type of back, where he's getting 25 carries in a game and he's going for 130, 150, and he's getting all these catches as well. He's obviously just not that guy anymore, and it's people have realized it, and they obviously the Cowboys know it. That's them splitting 15 and 15 is perfect. If Pollard wants to get 17 and Zeke gets 13, I don't care. That's fine. As long as they're splitting carries, it's a change of pace. Pollard's just so quick and explosive and fast, and Zeke's that power back, that guy who's going to knock you down, who's going to get extra yards when you tackle him. It's just a really good change of pace between the two backs. But through the air, like I was kind of talking about, with Zeke catching all those balls, that's what it used to be in the past, but in this game it was Pollard. 6 for 109 and 2 touchdowns, including a 30-yard touchdown and a 68-yard touchdown. He played receiver at Memphis. I guess he played a little bit of running back, but he was a receiver at Memphis in college. And this is what he can do. We've always wanted them to use him in the passing game more. And I think now they kind of will, because it's another way to get him the ball, because you give it to him in space. His first touchdown, just to give a quick little detail about it before going through the drives, but it was just, Dak went through his progressions, went through his reads, didn't like what he saw, and just threw it to Pollard in the flat on the right side, and he just boom. As soon as he got it, he just took off, went 30 yards for a touchdown. He wasn't touched. But that's what you got to do. Let's say he doesn't score a touchdown, but he gets 10 yards. That's perfect. You're throwing a flat to the running back, or throwing a pass to the running back in the flat. You're not, if it's Zeke, it maybe gets a couple yards, but with someone like Pollard, who's that fast and his acceleration is so high, he can make guys miss. His cuts are so good, and he's so explosive with his cuts. That's the thing. He makes guys miss with those cuts, and he can jump through holes, jump through gaps with those cuts. It was just great. And the 68-yard touchdown, we'll talk about it later, but it was just, wheel route to the right. 3rd and 14, by the way. And perfect throw, perfect protection, because you needed the protection because he's got to do the wheel route against a linebacker. No doubt he's running by him, and it was just a perfect throw and catch. But Lamb, 5 for 45, but he had one big catch. He also caught all 5 of his targets. You didn't need him, though, because we were running, we were up the entire game. We were running the ball. You didn't need Lamb to have a monster game, but he had one huge catch that, kind of catapulted us to this blowout win, I would say, and I'll talk about that later. But Gallup, I think he had a really good game, despite only being 3 catches, 41 yards. He looked a lot better. He looked like he was moving better. He made a catch where he kind of did a spin move after catching it, got some more yards. It was 1st and 20. I think he got 19 on that play. So he looked a little bit more explosive, a little bit more like him. So that's a really good sign to see that he's starting to get his legs back under him. So he's looked a little shaky since he's come back. I think now he's starting to look a little bit better. But enough offensively. Defensively, they played great. Offense played great, but defense played great. 7 sacks in this game. I'll list everyone who got a sack. J-Ron got 1 sack. He wasn't even supposed to rush the passer on this play. He read it, which he's a really smart guy. He's one of the captains on the defense. He just read the play and just got the sack. Parsons with 2, no doubt. And again, he started this game. He had a strip sack, 3rd play of the game that led us to a field goal, only a field goal, but still it set the tone for the game that we were coming after Kirk Cousins all game long. So he got 2 sacks. Armstrong got 2 sacks. He recovered that fumble that Micah forced. Armstrong, he has 7 sacks on the season. Great production from him. Micah has 10 now. D-Law got a sack. That's 6 on the season for him. Dante Fowler got a sack. That's 5 on the season for him. So that's 4 guys with over 5 sacks on the year. That's great. That's great production right there. and it's going to continue. We have 42 sacks in our first 10 games. I think it's 42. Like, I mean, that's an astronomical number that they've put up in terms of sacks. And we think about last year where the takeaways was the biggest thing. This year it's the sacks, but I think I read a stat where we had 19 takeaways through 10 games last year. I think we have 16 through 10 games this year. But last year we had it was almost like half the amount of sacks. It was like close to that. It was like somewhere in the 20s. I think it was like 25, 26. This year it's 42, like I said. So the sacks have gone way up, which can lead to more turnovers, which can lead to more punts, which could lead to, obviously, it's 2nd and 7, now it's 3rd and 14. You're most likely getting off the field. Like, that's what a sack does. Now, obviously, a turnover, you get the ball, but turnovers are definitely harder to force, to cause than a sack is. So just great from the defense. Like I said, 7 sacks in total, 8 TFLs, and QB hits was 13. 13 quarterback hits. That's a lot of quarterback hits. Parsons had 5, Armstrong 3, and then everyone else was kind of just a single. But I mean, that's a lot of quarterback hits. We'll go through the drives. Like I said, first drive, Micah, 3rd and 3. They decided to pass. It's probably their fault, but they decided to pass. Cousins scrambles out of the pocket to the right side. Micah chases him down. If you remember that Mahomes play last year against the Chiefs, it was similar to that, except that Mahomes was running to his left, Cousins was running to his right, but it's chasing him down, chopping at the arm, and Armstrong recovered. So we get the ball at the 32-yard line. We only muster a field goal, which, again, early, I didn't know this game was going to go. It was 0-0 at this point, but I said we had to score a touchdown because you get a turnover like that. And again, Minnesota won the coin toss and elected to receive. So they wanted to get the ball. They wanted to go down the field and score a touchdown. That's what they wanted. And we obviously halted that, and we got the ball. We basically flipped it over on them. I said we needed a touchdown, and it was looking good, Zeke for 4 yards, Zeke for 5, Zeke for 2, Zeke for 7. So we went from their 27-yard line to their 9-yard line, just like that. 2nd and 3, though, we go no gain to Pollard and then incomplete to Schultz. So I was like, a touchdown would have been great. Go 7-0 early on them, kind of already, stir some trouble on their sideline with, them trying to get the ball first, trying to go down and get a touchdown, get points, and then we flip it right on their heads. But at least we get a field goal. We each had to get points out of that, like no turnovers, no sack or something on the first play, like nothing stupid, nothing crazy. So at least we got 3 points. I was happy about it. But, to be fair, and, this was like, okay, this is going to be a back-and-forth game. They went right down the field and got a field goal and potentially could have got a touchdown. They got all the way down to our 6-yard line. They went twice to Hawkinson, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2. Again, you could question their play calling here because it was 1st and 10. They got an 8-yard run, and then they went 2 straight passes. And on this drive, the run was working. They were getting some yards. Not crazy, but definitely getting yards. And yeah, it's 2nd and 2. 2nd and 2, I think you should pass it, but 3rd and 2, I would at least do an RPO. But I would probably run it at that point because you could probably just go for it anyways. But they go pass, both to Hawkinson. He should have caught the first one. Second one, he still could have caught. It was a little bit tougher, but the first one would have been a touchdown. Second one maybe would have been. It probably would have been a first down, but I don't know if it would have been a touchdown. But they have to settle for a field goal, so 3-3. Again, I'm thinking it's going to be back and forth, but we need touchdowns. That could have been easily a touchdown for them. They've been put up a lot of points recently. Jefferson, they obviously have Thielen, Hawkinson, Cook, Cousins, so I said we needed touchdowns. And again, we go right down the field, score a touchdown to make it 10-3. 10 plays, 75-yard drive, 5 minutes off the clock. Schultz for 3 yards, Pollard for 4 yards. We were big on 3rd down in this one, I'll say. We were in total. Now, Dak did obviously, starters didn't finish this game. Cooper Rush came in. I don't know how many 3rd downs he got, but for the game, we were 12 of 17. So that's amazing. To be 12 of 17, that's great. That's what we need. Obviously, you're not going to do that every single game, but you got to be, top 7 in the league on 3rd down. And we've been, when Dak was out, we obviously weren't great, but since he's been back, we've been really good on 3rd down. And it was just another example in this game. But on 3rd and 3, we go 14 yards to Gallup. Pollard for 18 yards, and then Pollard again for 20 yards. First one looked like, he hit the hole, then stopped, and then he kind of like stuttered, and then hit the hole again, to be honest. Got 18. The second one, he hit traffic, spun away from it, got 20. Gallup for 8 yards, Lamb for 6 yards. This was, it was like a, kind of just like a throw it out to Lamb one-on-one, make a play. Made the guy miss. The guy had a chance to tackle him. Again, it was 2nd and 2, so it would have been a loss of like 2 or 3 yards. So it was a good play by Lamb not to get tackled, because it would have set up a, 3rd and, still manageable, obviously, but definitely still a, 3rd and 5. 3rd and 4, where it's a little bit of concern. Do you go for it if you don't get it? If you get yards, what do you do? Because we're at the 8-yard line there. But gets 6 yards, gets to the 2-yard line. Tries to go with Pollard on the first 2 carries, gets 1 yard, then gets no gain. Again, this is where I love Pollard, and I think he, again, like I was talking about earlier, like he definitely should get carries and get the ball more. But at the goal line, and maybe it's too obvious, but at the goal line, Zeke should get the ball. If Zeke's in the game, you could do a fake run and do a pass, because if you see Zeke in the backfield and you're at the 1-yard line, as a defense, you're just expecting that he's going to get the ball. So you could use that to your advantage as an offense and fake the run and have a tight end go out for a pass or something, or have Dak, run it or at least do something. But I want Zeke in the backfield when we're at the 1-yard line, 2-yard line, right at the goal line. So after the first 2 attempts didn't work, 3rd and 1, Zeke does get it. So that makes it 10-3. Then we force a punt from them. They actually kind of got the ball almost to midfield, but then Dorrance got 3rd and 3 again. Again, that's a chance where you could run it. They just got 5 yards to play before that, and they decide to throw it. And 3rd and 3, Dorrance gets a sack, his first sack. So force him to punt, get the ball back. And on this drive, we only got a field goal, but it was a really impressive drive because it's 14 plays, 48 yards, and 8 minutes off the clock. Like, if we can do that going forward, obviously, like, we can score points with our team being healthy. Like, we can score points with just about anyone. But if we can put drives that are 8 minutes long that are only 50 yards, like, that's a great ability to have as an offense, to be able to do that. And it started with, Dak goes for 1 yard, Noah Brown for 7 yards, Pollard for 5 yards on 3rd down, get another 3rd down conversion. It's going to be a lot of them. Zeke for 8, Zeke for 1, Zeke for 2 on 3rd and 1. Schultz for 12 yards, Pollard for 1, Pollard for 3, 3rd and 6, Dak goes for 11 yards. This was an RPO that the receivers just didn't realize was a RPO because they just went out for deep routes. And obviously, if it's an RPO, you have to do a quick route because then it'll be, blocking downfield and eligible man downfield. So on the offensive lineman, so you obviously have to do a slant, a quick route. So Dak, credit to him, he realized that. He faked the run and went to go pass, and then he realized that Gallup and Lamb just were going out for, normal routes, which is, 10, 15 yards down the field. And he just took off and ran. And luckily for him, it was wide open. It was almost like a zone read, to be honest. But it worked out. He got 11 yards, picked up the first. So that was 3rd and 6. Then we get 9 yards, but penalty. Not many penalties in this game. It didn't matter. It was 40-3, but even still wasn't that many. I think it was only a couple. Then 2nd and 17, it was Zeke for 4 yards, and then we don't convert on 3rd and 13. So it leads to a field goal, but still points, 13-3. Then, again, we just forced them to punt, 3 and out. I mean, just nothing. They couldn't move the ball against us. Come right back with a touchdown. Dak for 4 yards, Jake Ferguson for 4 yards, Pollard for 7, Lamb for 8, Zeke for 1 yard, hit the 2-minute warning, Zeke for 2, Zeke for 3, and then Pollard, this was that touchdown I was talking about, 2nd and 7 at the Minnesota 30. Just a swing pass to the right. After going through every option was rather covered, or just Dak didn't like it. Hits Pollard, just absolutely runs by everyone, doesn't get touched, touchdown, make it 20-3. With 1:43 left. And it looked like, again, we get the ball back at the start of half. Looked like they, if the Vikings could put a drive together and get a touchdown, it's 20-10, going into half then, we get the ball, that would be a huge drive. At least get points on, at least make it 23-10. 27-10 is obviously great, but it could have, the game could have set up differently if they got a touchdown on this drive. But they didn't. They moved the ball a little bit, but they, Micah got his second sack, was 1st and 15, made it 2nd and 23, then they go incomplete, and then they go incomplete again. He was just getting hit. I mean, it wasn't even, he had no time in the pocket. He was getting, as soon as he would drop back, we had someone on him, whether it was Micah, Dorrance, D-Law, Fowler, Odigizua was in there. People were just all over him in this game. They actually called a timeout after the Micah sack. They called their last timeout because it was 2nd and 23 at their 40-yard line. I think they were still thinking they could maybe muster a field goal, but that saved us because they just saved so much time for us. If they just let it go down, they could waste all that time, and they punt, we get the ball back. Who knows if we have enough time to go down and get a field goal. But they saved us. They gave us that time. We still had all 3 timeouts, but it saved us from using a timeout, which obviously helped us. But it's 30 seconds left at our 14-yard line. We're not really expecting to, it's like you're not going all out for it right there because you don't want to turn over, then they get free points. So you're not going all out right away. So they go 6 yards on a smoke screen to CeeDee Lamb. Then they go 4 yards for Pollard. So get a first down, get out of bounds. So still have 2 timeouts with 20 seconds left. Still only at your 24-yard line, though. So again, you're still thinking now we're going to go for it, but you're still trying to be a little bit conservative. So 7 yards to Schultz, gets out of bounds. So 2nd and 3, still have 2 timeouts at our 31-yard line. So this is where we decide to be really aggressive, and we do a play, which was, McCarthy did a lot in Green Bay. They did it against us in the playoffs, the Braziers to Jarrett Cook play right before the game-winning field goal. It was, Dak rolls out to the right, the offensive linemen roll out with him to kind of be a shield for him, so be a shield here, then Dak's here. So they're, rolling out with them. Hits Lamb. Lamb's just standing right on the sideline. Obviously not on the sideline, but you know what I mean. Dak hits him perfectly. I mean, the pass was perfect. It was, he's on the run to his right. He throws it. Lamb keeps his feet in, gets the catch, makes it, and he's down at their 42-yard line. Perfect play. And perfect execution. Not just the play and the play call, but the execution had to be perfect, and it was perfect. So with 5 seconds left, that happens. It's a 60-yard field goal. Maher makes it, but then they decide to review the Lamb catch despite that play happening. It was just terrible officiating, terrible rule officiating on the NFL and the referee's part. They go back to review it despite us calling a timeout. The play happened, he was out of bounds, so we didn't need to call one, but then we called a timeout just to, I think the play clock was low, so we called a timeout. So they had extra time to review it. And then we take out the kicking team, makes it, and then as soon as he makes it, they call it off and they say that it's being reviewed. Ridiculous call, honestly. And at that point, I was mad because it was 20-3, and he just made it. If he didn't if he had missed it, it'd be whatever. But and again, it was 20-3. If Vikings, let's say we punt coming out of half, Vikings get a touchdown, it's 20-10, just like that. So it was a big play, but they say that he caught it, which we knew because we knew that he caught it. But then he has to kick it again, and he makes it. And this one was even more clear. The first kick was just barely over, and it had to hook from right to left, just inside the crossbar, or the post. But the second one was right down the middle, had plenty of space to get in. So it just proved you just knew it was our game. You make 2 60-yard field goals. The second one's better than the first one. They try to screw you over with the review and try and get you to miss it. So 23-3 going into half. We get the ball, like I was saying, and the game was over here. It was already kind of over, but this was the nail in the coffin, no doubt. And this was the Pollard the second touchdown, where 3rd and 14. So we pick up a first down on Pollard, a 10-yard catch, and Pollard for -1, Pollard for -3. This was the first one was a run, second one was a pass. So we're 3rd and 14. And this is where Pollard does his wheel route against Jordan Hicks, their linebacker. He's just not fast enough to keep up with him. Protection's great. Perfect time in the pocket. Dak makes a perfect throw. If he underthrows him a little bit, Pollard probably still catches it, but he doesn't score a touchdown. Maybe even gets deflected, who knows. But perfect throw, right on the money. Pollard outruns him, 68-yard touchdown. Game, it's 30-3, and there's still 12 and a half minutes left in the quarter, in the second half. And you knew the game was over. And to be honest, halfway through this quarter, CBS cut away from this game. This was their national televised game, and they cut away from it, and they brought you to the Bengals-Steelers game. They literally said, let's take you to a more competitive game. That's how bad it was. And it was still only the third quarter. Vikings punt. D-Law gets a sack, and then I think Fowler gets a sack. So on that drive, just destroying Kirk Cousins. I mean, he couldn't do anything. Then we get another touchdown. So Zeke for 3 yards, Zeke for 2 yards, Noah Brown for 35 yards over the top. Incompletion to Schultz, and then Zeke with the 1-yard touchdown again. So his second one of the day, 37-3. And then it was just punts kind of back and forth. I mean, obviously, we already scored 37 points. But just in terms of who got their sacks and when, this was the Curse sack. It was 1st and 10, got a minus 10-yard sack. Incompletion to Jefferson. Diggs almost one-handed that interception. Again, Jefferson was shut down. He went 2 for 21 last year against us, 3 for 33 this year. So he'd been shut down the last 2 games against us, and this one really wasn't his fault because Cousins had no time to throw the ball, but still, he got shut down. That was all the sacks there, but they punt it. Then we punt it. It kind of gets boring here, but I want to see. I think we got another sack here. Yeah, Dorrance got his sack when they got the ball back. It was 3rd and 20. He got a sack. Parsons did get injured in this game. He hurt his knee. Now, if it was a big injury, I would have let off with it. But he hurt his knee, and it seemed like he was kind of dealing with some knee problems a little bit. But on the Curse sack, Curse kind of, Micah was right there. If Curse didn't get him, Micah was gonna get him. But he kind of landed into his knee, and then on the second one here on the Dorrance one, Micah when Dorrance was sacking him, I think one of the offensive linemen kind of fell on his leg, and it was the same leg. So nothing bad. He actually came back into the game, which was ridiculous on the coaching staff. I don't care if he wants to play and he says there's nothing you could do to stop me to play. Like, you're easily like the best defensive player in the NFL, and it's a 37-3 game in the fourth quarter. You're not coming back into the game, so that was ridiculous. But he didn't re-injure himself. He said he was fine. He should play Thursday. So no problem. But it was just like what are we doing? Like, why is he back in the game? It's a stress-free game. Nothing bad's happening, and then you're bringing him back into the game. It was just so ridiculous. But to get to 40, this is right at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. A good drive. And Pollard for 17 yards, Gallup for 19 yards on a pass. Malik Davis even, I think, had like a 9-yard run, yeah. And Maher kicked a 50-yard field goal. He had 2 50-yard field goals, a 60-yard field goal, and I think a 30-yard field goal. So huge game from him. He's been money so far this year, which is great because we needed that. And then just the end of the game, it was just punts. I don't think we got another sack. Parsons came close to another one when he came back in, but I don't think there was another sack in this game. No. So, yeah, that was a game, 40-3, blowout, not even, demolition. That's what it was. It was just destroyed them. Vikings are 8-2. We kind of expected this to happen at some point for them. And, or at least not this, but at least expected that, like, you put them up against the Niners, the Eagles, or the Cowboys, they're probably not going to be able to compete with them. Now, would it be this much of a blowout? No, but you would expect the Niners, Cowboys, Eagles to beat them when they play them. Cowboys are 7-3. Short week, early week with the Giants on Thanksgiving. Big game, to be honest. Giants just lost to the Lions. They're 7-3 now. You're better than the Giants. Their roster's been hit by injuries. Their only player is Barkley. I mean, just stop the run. Stop the run in this game, and good things will happen. That's all you got to worry about. I mean, he was bottled up against the Lions. He had 15 carries for 22 yards. It shouldn't, you should be able to just stop him and Jones. Make Jones throw the ball. Force him to make mistakes, throw interceptions. They have no receivers on the outside. So just play your game. Do what you got to do offensively. Run the ball. Give Pollard the ball in different situations. Make smart, accurate plays at quarterback in terms of Dak, and we should be fine. Win this game. Go to 8-3. Get a mini bye. With obviously extra day rest. Play the Colts next week. I mean, Colts aren't a great team. They played better under Jeff Saturday, but like that should be a win, to be honest. I think we're home for that game as well. And then you move forward the rest of the season. You know, the big game is going to be that Philadelphia game, but you still got to win the ones in between. You know, we play the Jaguars, the Texans, Washington, you know. Like, so there's some easy games on the schedule, but you still got to win them. You still got to play. You got to play like this. You're going to play this good every time? No, but you got to. This is the goal. This game is the goal of what to look like for the rest of the season. Will it match up to this every single time? No. But we should get close to this, whether it's one phase of the team, because this was the all-around team game played by the team that was perfect. I mean, there was literally not one mistake that the team made, but it's got to come somewhat close to this. It really does. But yeah, play the Giants, and then, you know what? After the Giants game, who knows? Maybe Odell Beckham is a Cowboy. That's the news, is that it's between the Cowboys and the Giants. I mean, every Cowboys player is talking to him on social media, talking to him privately, to the media, that they want him, they need him, they just want him to be a Cowboy. I would love it because who knows what he looks like on the field, but he's a threat. I mean, there's no doubt. We saw what he did for the Rams last year. He's a threat for you. He can make plays. He's still decent. He's not the 1,400-yard guy that he was before. No one expects him to be that, but he can make catches in key situations. He's still a threat down the field, at least if you give him the ball in space. Like, he's another weapon to this offense that they need. Sounds like he wants to go to the Cowboys as well. He said he'll make his decision after Thanksgiving, so beat the Giants, sign Odell, go into that Colts game with your full roster, minus Tyron unless he plays, but even still when he comes back, like, it's a really good football team. So I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be back next week after the Thanksgiving game to talk about the Giants game. So hopefully that's a win, like I said. We'll get ready for the Colts, but got to win this one first. So thank you for watching. Check out the other videos on this channel. If you haven't seen the video before this, it's the Week 11 recap video. And definitely check out the video that's going to come after this, which will be the Week 12 preview video, which will recap the Thanksgiving games. I'll go in a little bit of detail about the Cowboys game, not as much as this. And then we'll obviously talk about the Sunday games that are coming up. Be on the lookout for that, though. And like I said, I'll see you next week, and thank you for watching.